Hey guys, this is Kennedy Hawk at Cardboard Force Ghosts, and this is the first of a new video blog series that I'm starting. It's called Star Wars Destiny 1d6. So, as most people watching this know, 1d6 is a six-sided dice, and that's what our favorite game is all about. So, what's going to happen in this video game series, I'm going to try to record one a week. Hopefully, eventually, we can get some stream feed interaction. But I'm going to go through 6 topics related to Star Wars Destiny, spend 3 minutes on each topic. So you can see we've got our 6 topics laid out here. Topics could range from tournament reports of tournaments I've played into or interesting combinations that I've just found. I'll probably usually have a card of the week, and that'll be a card that I've seen in local play or in Tabletop Simulator that's taken off really well. And then just some general news, announcements, or spoilers and information that comes out of FFG. So, this is the first episode of Star Wars Destiny 1d6, and we'll get kicked off with our first topic. So, first we're going to talk about some really exciting news that's come out in the last couple of weeks from FFG and then at Star Wars Celebration as well. We finally have a release date for Spirit of Rebellion, and the release date is very sensical. It's May the 4th, so props to FFG's promotions team. That happens to be the same week as Worlds, I believe. So hopefully everyone that's there will be able to get some stock from the FFG store, open new cards with some people that you've talked to online but never met face to face, and play with some new stuff. So obviously we're really excited about this May the 4th date. We're not so excited about the shortage that's happening with this. We kind of knew this was going to happen. It was announced that there was going to be a shortage with this second set too, and that things would be coming out in waves. The miniature market email saying that the 8,000 feeds short for their pre-orders is a little daunting. I've seen a couple people talk about saying maybe this should just still be considered a pre-release. We'll see what FFG has to say about when they make this tournament legal, but with having such a short supply, I highly recommend, at least in your local group, if everybody doesn't have a chance to get the cards, always bring an Awakenings deck and a deck that includes Spirit of Rebellion. That way, if someone didn't get to get the cards because they were one day late on the pre-order, they're not completely out of luck playing an underpowered deck versus one that has access to all the cards in the pool. That being said, I don't think we really need to worry. I mean, there's more stuff coming along the way. I had a couple feeds ordered at my local store, and it sounds like those are coming in. But the one through Miniature Market, I missed the deadline by a little bit. But I did hear back from Miniature Market, and they said that they still plan to get their 9,000 feeds. They're just not all going to be on May the 4th. So their first email was a little ambiguous. It didn't even really tell us whether or not you'd get your feed eventually. They just had your money and you were waiting. But based on the emails I've had back and forth with them, it sounds like everyone will get their stuff eventually. Finally, the other bit of game news that we have this week is at Star Wars Celebration, they announced the next expansion, which is Empire at War. And the pack character is going to be Sabine Wren, who's a yellow hero character. This is pretty exciting. So we know this set's coming out in the fall, and it'll be the last set before we hit a new core or a set that has starters with it. So this will be another standalone set, kind of like Spirit of Rebellion without a starter associated with it. What's cool is we have Sabine in there, so we're getting the Rebels crew, which is great. We just finished a cycle in Star Wars LCG where we had all of the Spectre characters. So hopefully we'll get to see all the Spectre characters in this set, and maybe some villains like Kalos or Hondo, and maybe even Maul and Thrawn, things like that. So could be a really exciting set. It should be a really exciting set. I'm sure everyone's pumped for it. It's going to be a while before it gets here, so for now we'll savor in our Spirit of Rebellion cards. So, we barely made it through that in 3 minutes, but we're going to move on to the next topic. And the next topic is the Artificery Tournament that was played last weekend on Tabletop Simulator. If you haven't checked out the Artificery website yet, you definitely should. There's some really good articles on there and some tournament reports. And these guys are doing a lot for the community. They're actually hosting Tabletop Simulator tournaments for people that don't have giant local metas, which is great. Or people that can't make it out to their local metas every week. You can stay at home where you might have other things to do, but still get to play in these tournaments. So I played in this one this weekend. It was 4 rounds of Swiss, and then the winners were determined off that. There were 2 pods, I think a pod of 18 and a pod of 16. I was in a pod of 16 and went 2-2. This was my first Tabletop Simulator tournament, so I played it easy and went with a Pomaz deck and got burned for it, so we won't be doing that again, obviously. But yeah, everyone I played was super friendly. Everything was run on time, which was great on the tournament organizers, and there were very little rules arguments or questions. I didn't experience any. I don't know if anybody else did. So the decks I played against, Spirit of Rebellion was legal in this tournament. So I think this was the first Spirit of Rebellion Tabletop Simulator League tournament. And my first matchup, I was doing Pomaz, and I wasn't running Hyperloop. I was kind of running the AoE Pomaz. You may have seen me play online, where I just try to throw out thermal detonators and bowcasters and things like that. And then the new rifle that has Jin on the card, I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, I played a Luke Maz deck, and that one took a while. They had a lot of healing. I think they got 2 second chances on Luke, and they had the Otogunga Battlefield, so he was just constantly healing 5 damage. But eventually we got rid of Maz, and then we got rid of Luke. Won that one. Really fun player. He came really close to taking down Poe, which was scary. Then I played against a Baze Snap deck, which just destroyed me. They had a Carbon Freezing Chamber, and Snap, so I could never claim, and they'd eliminate one Poe die, and then they'd use events to eliminate the other Poe die, and eventually I just didn't even get to roll Poe. There was one point where I was almost close to killing Baze, but I just could not get the damage through. That was a really well-crafted and piloted deck. And then I played a mirror match against a Pomaz player, and that was a really fun match. Using cheat and the thermal detonators, I think we blew up like 5 or 6 thermal detonators between the two of us. So lost those two, so now I'm 1-2. And then I played against a mono red deck, which was a little scary because they could trap me. It was Elite Leia, Elite Mon Mothma. And I was able to just spit out thermal detonators left and right. I think I did 2 thermal detonators in the first round with Poe's ability, and then I did a U-Wing the next round, and at that point everything was mostly dead. So I ended 2-2. A lot of fun players. I haven't seen yet what the winning deck was, so you should check artificery.com to watch for that tournament report. But definitely check out their site, check out their tournaments. Hopefully we'll get bigger numbers in the future, and that community will keep growing. All right, on to topic 3, and this is going to be a combo topic. So now that SR cards are close to being in our hands, there's a combo I want to talk about that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, but I think it's really, really powerful. We already know how powerful Fast Hands is. We've seen a lot of people play it in Vader Raider. We've seen a lot of people play it in Jabba Dooku. And I'm here to tell you that Fast Hands on Jabba is downright insane. So if you've read the Go Rogue article series, you've probably seen the Night Sister Jabba deck. And I love that deck because all 4 character dice have Disrupt and all 4 have Discard. So you have a really good setup for doing some sort of theme deck around Disrupt and Discard. And the good news is we get a lot of support for Disrupt in this set, and one of the cards that's sneakily like a support for Disrupt is this Fast Hands card. So I've been playing that deck modified a little bit by adding Fast Hands and a few other things, and it's really powerful. So you end up with Fast Hands on Jabba, and he's got a 2 Discard and a 2 Disrupt side. So once you get a Fast Hands, or better yet, 2 Fast Hands on Jabba, you can roll him in as your first action of the turn. If you roll a Disrupt, you can remove all your opponent's resources. Or if you roll 2 discards, you can discard almost their entire hand. To make things even better, when you roll Jabba, you get to re-roll one of your yellow dice, so you can re-roll him and then still trigger Fast Hands because you're still triggering to that same first response. At least that's the way I've been interpreting the rules. So this finally brings up my favorite card, My Kind of Scum. So now I've had a lot of games on Tabletop Simulator where I've thrown up My Kind of Scum and Fast Hands on Jabba turn 1, and I almost just claim and don't even roll my dice, because the whole goal is every turn I'm going to roll Jabba, I'm going to disrupt away their resources and turn them into mine. And I've had some amazing success with this. I've ended up with 12 resources in one game and just threw Force Throws down and all those high-cost blue upgrades onto my Night Sisters and had them take away the rest of the game. But Fast Hands on Jabba is really brutal. It's really helpful for Disrupt decks. It's really helpful for mill decks too. So I had one game last week where I had 2 Fast Hands on Jabba, and I rolled him in and rolled both 2 discard sides. And then before my opponent could even play cards from his hand, I discarded 4 of them. So if he was going to play a card, hopefully it's the one that he has left. Otherwise, he's pretty much out of luck. So Fast Hands is a really powerful card on damage characters. As we know, you're not going to be able to remove their damage dice if they resolve them. But it's also really powerful on these utility characters. So this would work in Night Sister Jabba, but would also work in something like, if you wanted to focus on the discard, you could be doing Elite Jabba, Elite Ventress. So you roll as much as you can, discard as you can with Jabba with Fast Hands, discard it all, and then if they want to re-roll, Ventress is going to get rid of the rest of their hand. So a really powerful card. Could work in that Jabba Unker deck as well if you wanted to get rid of your Disrupt. But these 3 cards, if you can get them out, it's money. All right, next topic before I keep talking about that. Here we're going to talk about a deck tech, or a deck design. So I haven't fully designed this deck yet, but I've been playing around with it in Tabletop Simulator, and it's been pretty successful. So for a while, we knew Django Veers kind of dominated the meta. It was all over the place. It was just all the damage phases you could get, hitting face as fast as you can. And a lot of the complaints people had were Veers is kind of squishy. He's only got 9 health. With these SOR characters we've been getting, we're getting to really high amounts of health for these 3 character decks. You can imagine, here you can run Elite Veers and 2 Enforcers is the deck I'm suggesting, and that gets you up to 27 health. 27 health is a ton of health. I mean, Vader's got 13 or something like that, and Raider's got 9, so I mean, even there you're sitting at 22, that's 5 extra health. It takes 3 thermal detonators to blow up this entire team, that's pretty good. What I really like about this combination is you get a ton of damage faces. So all 3 of your characters have 3 range damage faces. So between the 4 character dice you're starting with, you have 12 damage faces. That's a lot. To make it even better, 8 of those damage faces are unmodified, or just regular damage, and only 4 of them are modified faces. So you can roll a ton of damage just with your character dice, let alone with all the upgrades you're going to throw on these guys. You get access to all those yellow weapons, but also all of the red weapons. So you've got access to pretty much the best range damage tech in the game. You get Electroshock, you get He Doesn't Like You, you get a lot of the new really good yellow cards, and you get a ton of resources too. I mean, you have 2 resource sides on each of your enforcers. They are modified, so you really got to roll a resource with Veers. One cool thing that I've done with this is I've had a first turn quad jumper, and then rolled enough resources to turn that into a first turn ATST, which can be really exciting if you get the right cards to work that out. So it can be pretty fun to do. Yeah, so I definitely recommend trying this out. It'll get you to 27 health, and should survive really well. Not too much else to say about this. I guess you do get access to some of the new yellow supports. You can throw Slave 1 in there with Veers too. Slave 1 special isn't that great. I feel like once people have Slave 1 hit the board, they pretty much just don't put out a ton of dice because they don't want to take a ton of damage. But it does limit your opponent a little bit, and it gives you another big ranged face that doesn't cost 6 like your ATST. So, Veers Enforcer, you could swap an Enforcer for a Night Sister or something else if you wanted, but the 27 health of this really appealed to me, and it's worked out pretty well. So, ended that one a little bit early. Sorry, didn't have as much planned to say there as I thought I did, but we'll do better next time, guys. Sorry. All right, we're gonna move on to topic 5, and that is the card of the week. So the card of the week this week is Guard. And we're gonna talk about this and kind of go back to topic 2, the Artificery Tournament. My opponent had Luke, and Guard did a number on me in that Luke Maz deck. He had 1 lightsaber on Luke, and so many times he didn't have any resources, and he would roll that lightsaber and focus it to a 3 for one side, and I would always think, what is he doing? Why does he have this 3 melee damage? So what this card does, you obviously can't read the text, it's way zoomed out, but it's 0 cost, and it lets blue hero, I believe, remove a melee die, a blue melee die, to remove the number of dice equal to the value of that die of your opponents. So if they have that 3 for 1 that they can't pay for, it's no longer useless. They can, for no money, remove that die that they can't even afford, and remove 3 of our damage dice, or 2 of Poe's special side and a Maz focus, or something like that. It's a devastating turn swinging card. We don't have a ton of. I don't think there's really a way to get a blue die up to 4 yet for melee, but there are a lot of 3s. I mean, all the lightsabers have a 3. There's a lot of 2s. Even Padawans get a 2. So I mean, this card can be really powerful. The other thing it's useful for is in Han Rey decks. When you roll those modified sides on Rey and you can't do anything with them because you haven't rolled any other melee, well, now you can guard them away. And better yet, if you play a Vibro Knife on a roller in and you want to remove some of your opponent's dice, you'll get the chance to remove those dice before they even get to take an action. So Guard is a really powerful Spirit of Rebellion card. Be on the lookout for it during that launch week. You'll probably see a lot of it if you're playing against blue hero decks. And you'll probably see a lot of blue hero decks because there's some pretty exciting and new interesting cards. So the other way I've seen this card played is I've seen people bluff with this card. It didn't happen in my Artificery tournament match, but I played another person later who had Luke, and he was trying to avoid Poe rolling special sides, and I had some damage sides with Poe, but I had way better cards in my hand, and he had a guard in his hand, so rather than even re-rolling, I would just resolve my damage sides with fast hands. And I mean, he did take damage from it, but he took less damage than he would have if I threw my thermal detonators. So his bluff with guard was pretty good. Um, the best way to bluff nowadays is to bluff your intentions, I think, especially when you have a yellow character in your deck and you can use cheats to bring that guard back to your hand. Just them knowing the guard's in your hand makes your opponents play a completely different game. So there's a couple other decks this could be useful in, not just Luke, not just Rey decks, but I think Qui-Gon decks this will be really useful in. I mean, Qui-Gon likes to sit back in his shields, have a nice buffer, but part of that requires not losing his shields, not taking damage. So if he can use guard when he rolls his 2 melee face to remove the threatening dice, it can be really, really powerful. So that's the card of the week for this week, guard. And the last topic is Worlds Prep. So this is kind of talking about Worlds, kind of talking about just Tabletop Simulator in general. But first, let's talk about Worlds. So Worlds is coming up in two or three weeks now. I'm not going to be able to attend, and I know some other people that won't be, but there'll be a lot of people there. I'm pretty sure it's sold out, so it's going to be a huge tournament. Probably the biggest Star Wars Destiny tournament we've seen to date. So a lot of people are preparing for Worlds, and there's a lot of interesting articles you can read online for that. There's some Artificery articles on it. If you go to the Hyperloops, they have a really good article on this is what we would run if we were able to go to Worlds, and it's a really good read. And then they're mainly focusing on SOR stuff after that. SWDestiny.com has a really good article series talking about the different teams you can expect to see at Worlds. I know I've seen one article on Vader Raider. I think I've seen Jango Bala Trooper. I think I've seen something with Phasma. So they're trying to hit all the main decks that you might see at Worlds and sort of talk you through them, talk you through their strengths, talk you through their weaknesses, so you can expect what to see if you are heading out to Minneapolis pretty soon. So the other thing to talk about with Worlds Prep is this tabletop simulator. There's a ton of people on there, so for those of you that aren't, don't sit and wait for a Steam sale. It's definitely worth getting right now. I just checked on Steam, and Tabletop Simulator right now is $19.99. If you can find 3 other friends to buy it with you, it's $60 for 4 copies, so then it's only $15 a piece. That's like buying 5 packs at the store. And we all know there's no packs for sale right now, so you may as well spend that $15 on Tabletop Simulator. So there's a ton of great resources for Tabletop Simulator. You've seen a ton of people stream on it. There's tournaments coming on from Artificery. There's 3 main Discord channels that I found. There's the Artificery channel. There's the Knights of Ren podcast has a Discord channel. And then there's a Tabletop Simulator League that has a Discord channel. And between those 3 Discord channels, anytime I want to find a game, I can find one within 2 to 3 minutes. Whether it's 3 in the morning or right before work, it's really easy to find a game. If you go in there at any point in time, there's probably 10 to 20 games open. If you see the game labeled CFG Stream, if it says SOR, feel free to come in if you still want to work on Worlds Prep. I still have a ton of Awakenings decks in a folder, so if you want to play against Vader Raider or Rayhan or any of those main deck archetypes, I'll be online, and just let me know that you want to play Awakenings only, and I'll load one of those decks up to play against you. So there's a ton of people on there that just say Worlds Prep, so feel free to enter those games. You're showing off your deck to people, but you're also getting a lot of experience against really experienced people. So I highly recommend anyone who hasn't done it yet, check out Tabletop Simulator on Steam. Thank the people that are working on that mod. I know Pro Yeti's doing a lot of work on the mod now, making a stream mod through Artificery, so check that out too. And that is our 3 minutes talking about Worlds Prep. So with that, we're going to end our first episode of Star Wars Destiny 1d6.